No. The answer is no. Being a parent does not make you a better leader. Probably. I'm a parent and I'm a leader at work, but I don't think for a second that I'm a better leader than people who are not parents, or that I'm a better leader necessarily than I would have been if I wasn't a parent. I keep seeing these posts on LinkedIn and other places from people saying that becoming a parent made them a better leader, or they're a better leader because they're a parent. I don't think it's very helpful to put it that way. It obviously implies that people who are not parents are somehow less good at being leaders, which is obviously wrong. On the other hand, I do think there are some common elements between parenthood and leadership that are worth exploring, so that's what I'll do in this video. Hey, how's it going? This is Scruffy Leadership, a YouTube channel about management and leadership. My name's Ben, and I've been a leader and a manager in the tech industry for over 25 years. So like I say, I don't agree that being a parent makes you a better leader or vice versa, but you Google it, you'll find hundreds, probably thousands of posts and videos and articles making this claim. So why is this? I think it's actually really very simple. Parenthood is, I would say, a form of leadership, but we tend to overlook that fact. And so pointing out the similarities between the leadership you might exhibit at work and the leadership you show at home with your children, if you have children, can be helpful. So let's start there with the idea that parenthood is a form of leadership. Leadership is about enabling the people you have responsibility for to achieve the most that they can. If we put it that way, then it's really quite obvious that being a parent fits that description. So I think it might not be unreasonable to say that a good parent is also likely to be a good leader at work, but that's based on the assumption that your definition of good in both cases matches up with mine. And in that case, your definition of being a good parent and being a good leader are probably very similar to each other. So for example, good parents and good leaders communicate clearly. They care for and nurture the people they lead. They give timely and actionable feedback. They lead by example, and they know when to be directive and when to give people more freedom and scope to make their own decisions and to make their own mistakes. One thing I always feel a bit nervous about when people make a comparison between parenthood and leadership is the implication that leaders at work might treat the people they lead the way that a parent might treat their children. So this isn't what I'm saying. If we take the analogy too far and we think of ourselves as the parent at work, we can end up infantilizing people, disempowering them, treating them like children. So this is another reason why I don't like it when people say that being a parent makes you a better leader. There's an implication, not an intended one, I'm sure, but it's there nonetheless, that you can be a better leader by treating people like children. And in fact, in a lot of situations where things are going wrong at work, it's because we're not treating each other like adults. So you may have come across this idea that when we communicate, we can do it in one of three states: parent, adult, or child. And we can treat the person we're communicating with as being in one of those states as well. So this idea is called the Parent, Adult, Child model, PAC, and it's part of something called transactional analysis theory. I won't go into it in detail, but the point I want to make is that according to this model, the best way to communicate is adult to adult. So you behave as an adult and you treat the other person as an adult. If you behave as a child, then you force the other person to move into parent mode, telling you off or giving you orders. If you behave like a parent, which in this model means telling the other person what they should do or what they mustn't do, then they'll likely shift into behaving like a child. It's more complex than the way I'm presenting it here, and it's not really an argument against the idea that parenting and leadership are related, but I do think it's important to remember that if we think of ourselves as being like a parent at work, then it's quite likely that we'll think of the people we lead as being like children, and that probably means that they'll start to behave that way too. Having said this, I think there is one important way in which being a parent can be very helpful for leaders at work. Leaders at work often find it hard to be vulnerable, to admit to their mistakes and their weaknesses, and that can hold them back from learning. And there's a sense that some leaders have that they should just somehow know what to do and that asking for help is admitting defeat. With parenthood, on the other hand, everyone knows that you just make it up as you go along, right? That you make mistakes and you learn from them. So maybe one way in which being a parent is helpful at work is giving you a chance to practice vulnerability, to get used to it in a safer environment. If you're a parent of kids of a certain age, you get very used to being asked questions you can't answer, to being told you're wrong, to having your requests and instructions ignored. The same kinds of things, no doubt, happen at work. Being a parent doesn't mean you'll be better at dealing with those things at work necessarily, but it does mean you'll be more exposed to them and perhaps in a lower stake setting, meaning you can have more of a chance to practice humility and get used to it. So you often hear it said that parenting is similar to leadership. I'd go a little further and say parenting is a form of leadership. And in that sense, it's not like parenting is special. Being a leader is what makes you a better leader. Or rather, being a leader can make you a better leader if you're humble and thoughtful and willing to learn. And it doesn't matter what kind of leader you are or where you're leading. If you're leading your children at home or your colleagues at work or friends in a sports club or wherever, and if you're humble and thoughtful and willing to learn, you'll get better at leading. If you're not, you won't. So I don't think that being a parent is guaranteed to make you a better leader, but it can help. And humility is a key part of that. If you want to hear more about how being humble is a key part of being a good leader, check out the video that's on screen now. And do share your thoughts on this in the comments. Are you a parent and do you think that makes you a better leader? Are you not a parent? What are your thoughts? Bye. See you soon.